The South China Sea simmers with tension. On September 22, 2025, the Philippines unveils its longest military runway on remote Pagasa Island, a bold concrete statement in the world's most contested waters. This is more than infrastructure, it's a challenge to Beijing, a declaration, "We are here to stay." For years, Chinese vessels have swarmed these waters, outmatching the Philippines at every turn. Now Manila has a new tool, a runway that can handle larger military aircraft, enabling rapid deployment and better surveillance. The region's strategic calculus has shifted overnight. Filipino flags flutter as military officials walk the new runway, pride and determination etched on their faces. This lifeline for Pagasa's small community is also a target, raising the stakes in a dangerous geopolitical chess match. From Manila to Washington and Beijing, analysts scramble to assess the implications. The runway is the culmination of a deliberate Philippine strategy to assert its rights, a physical manifestation of national will. The question is not if China will respond, but how. The concrete is barely dry, but the lines of conflict are already hardening. The world holds its breath as the turquoise waters around Pagasa could become the epicenter of the next global confrontation. Every plane that lands, every soldier who steps onto the runway, raises the stakes. The Philippines has drawn a line not in sand but in concrete. The message is clear: sovereignty will be defended. The world is watching. The balance of power in the South China Sea has shifted. The next move belongs to Beijing. To grasp the runway's significance, you must understand Pagasa Island, just 37 hectares but a linchpin in the Spratlys. It's the administrative center of Calayan, home to a small Filipino community, a school, and a town hall, living proof of Philippine sovereignty. Surrounded by Chinese-held militarized artificial islands, Pagasa is a lone sentinel in a sea dominated by an authoritarian power. Subi Reef, a massive Chinese base, looms just 25 kilometers away. Chinese Coast Guard and militia vessels form a daily cordon, a constant reminder of the threat. For the armed forces of the Philippines, Pagasa is an irreplaceable forward base. The new runway transforms it from a vulnerable outpost to a credible defense position. Larger aircraft can now land, ensuring reliable resupply and rapid response. The island's isolation is broken, its strategic value multiplied. Pagasa stands as a bastion of democracy, holding the line in the West Philippine Sea. The stakes are high, but so is the resolve. The transformation is fundamental and irreversible. Building a 3-kilometer runway on Pagasa was a feat of grit and engineering, made harder by China's constant surveillance and harassment. Every bag of cement, every steel bar crossed hundreds of kilometers of open sea, often shadowed or blocked by Chinese vessels. Typhoons and monsoons halted work, but the greatest obstacle was man-made: intimidation from Chinese Coast Guard and maritime militia. Filipino workers endured searchlights, radio jamming, and psychological pressure. Yet they pressed on, driven by national pride and bayanihan, communal unity in adversity. The project became a symbol of Filipino resolve. Manila provided unwavering support, framing the runway as a national security priority. The Philippine Navy and Coast Guard escorted supply convoys, risking confrontation. Each day, the threat of escalation loomed. But the runway was completed, a testament to careful planning and courage. Under the unblinking gaze of a regional giant, the Philippines built a concrete lifeline. The message: intimidation will not prevail. The new runway is a revolution for Pagasa Island. Gone is the unreliable dirt strip. Now, larger and more advanced aircraft can land, including fighter jets and heavy transports. The island is no longer cut off by bad weather. Supplies, equipment, and personnel can arrive reliably. For civilians, the runway is a lifeline: faster medical evacuations, steady deliveries, and hope for economic development. The military gains a robust forward base for patrols and surveillance, expanding its reach across the South China Sea. Long-range aircraft can now monitor illegal fishing and Chinese movements, providing crucial intelligence. The Philippines can see farther and react faster. The runway empowers the nation to protect its maritime resources and enforce its rights. For Pagasa's residents, it's security and connection. For the country, it's a strategic leap forward. The island's transformation is complete. The Philippines is no longer isolated, it's ready. The Pagasa runway marks a turning point in the South China Sea's military balance. For years, China's artificial islands dominated the region, tipping the scales in Beijing's favor. Now the Philippines pushes back, not with size but with strategic impact. Stationing jets and patrol aircraft on Pagasa complicates China's operations and challenges its dominance. The runway signals a shift from passive protest to active assertion. It inspires other nations facing similar pressures, showing that resolve and strategy matter. China can no longer assume uncontested freedom of movement. The new Philippine presence creates a zone Beijing must respect or risk escalation. The balance is more precarious, but the Philippines has introduced a potent counterweight. The scales have shifted, if only slightly, away from the brink. The South China Sea dispute is a battle of legal narratives as much as territory. Pagasa is a natural island, long inhabited and entitled to a territorial sea, an exclusive economic zone under international law. China's bases, by contrast, are built on submerged reefs, artificial islands with no such rights as affirmed by the 2016 Hague ruling. The Philippines operates from a position of law, China from raw power. The new runway highlights this difference. Manila develops its own territory, while Beijing militarizes features that international law says are not islands. The world sees the Pagasa runway as legitimate self-defense. China's buildup is viewed as aggressive and destabilizing. This legal distinction gives the Philippines the moral high ground. The battle is one of concrete and steel, but also of legitimacy. The runway is a symbol of lawful sovereignty. The world is watching which narrative prevails. The new Pagasa runway raises the risk of conflict in already tense waters. Philippine and Chinese forces now operate in even closer proximity, increasing the chance of miscalculation. The South China Sea is a theater of gray zone tactics, water cannons, ramming, and dangerous aerial maneuvers. Recent close calls have seen ships collide and jets fly dangerously near each other. With fighter jets potentially based on Pagasa, incidents could escalate in minutes. The fear, a single clash could trigger a wider conflict. Pilots and commanders operate under immense stress, tasked with asserting claims without starting a war. The balancing act is near impossible. The runway deters some aggression but creates new tripwires. The sea is crowded, now the sky is contested too. The risk of escalation is real and growing. The stakes have never been higher. The margin for error is razor thin. The Pagasa runway's significance is magnified by the U.S.-Philippine alliance. Bound by a mutual defense treaty, the U.S. has clarified its commitment. An attack on Philippine forces in the South China Sea will trigger American support. This security guarantee deters China and gives Manila the confidence to assert its rights. The new runway enhances alliance value, providing a capable facility for joint exercises and potentially U.S. access. Under the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, Pagasa could become a strategic staging point deep in the first island chain. Increased joint patrols, military exercises, and U.S. support underscore the alliance's revival. American warships and aircraft in the area send a clear signal of commitment. The runway is not just a Filipino asset, it's an anchor for the alliance. Together, the U.S. and Philippines aim to uphold a free and open order in the face of authoritarian challenge. The partnership is stronger, the deterrent more credible. The stakes are global, not just regional. Pagasa is now a symbol of collective resolve. The alliance is reawakened, the world is watching. For Filipinos, the new Pagasa runway stirs both pride and anxiety. It's a symbol of defiance after years of watching China encroach on their waters. In Palawan and Pagasa, the runway is a promise of protection and hope for a secure future. It's a courageous act, defending dignity and resources against a powerful neighbor. But pride is shadowed by fear, of military imbalance, of possible retaliation, of war. Residents worry, will China strike back? Could their homes become a front line? The daily news of close calls is a source of real anxiety. Filipinos want security, but not at the cost of devastating conflict. The runway is a gamble, and the people have the most at stake. They stand behind their flag, proud yet fearful. The desire for sovereignty is matched by a hope for peace. On Pagasa, the future is uncertain, but the resolve is unbroken.